Brian, I know that Illinois has been engaged in career pathways work for quite a long time, oftentimes charting its own course in some areas. Tell us about Illinois' approach to programs of study and career pathways.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Hope. Thank you. And certainly Illinois is known for charting its own course in many ways, and we have done that. I appreciate the legislative changes that Kansas was able to make to incent and move career and technical education and adult career pathways as well forward. In Illinois, we've taken much more of an initiative-based and a policy in that we're changing the way business is done without having to go to the legislative level. And we've done that through participation early on, and I think anticipating adult career pathways through our participation in the Shifting Gears Initiative, where we work to develop bridge programs. And Shifting Gears is a project that is funded or was funded by the Joyce Foundation, and essentially is about integrating adult basic education students and career and technical education programs. So adult basic ed programs and career and tech ed programs, and you get some contextualized instruction, which career and technical education is very good at already. Students get some extra transition services in this model, and students also have a career development component to the model. So it's an intensive approach that very much, I think, anticipated the adult career pathways movement, and also highlights a lot of the program of study elements as well. I think they were there early. And then when Perkins 4 was reauthorized, we thought a lot about our program of study work and really wanted to take an approach that was much more expansive than simply the articulation of courses or course sequences. And so we worked early on to develop some guiding principles around programs of study that include things like focusing on leadership, focusing on partnership. Certainly professional development was key to our principles that have led this. Credit transfer agreements, if you want to call it that, dual credit and those sorts of things, were a key component of those, that early work we did in programs of study. These design elements crosswalked very nicely to the 10 elements through the program of study framework that OVE put out. And I think that's an important point because ultimately the 10 components as well as our design elements provided a really good framework from which to work around doing this. So this early work allowed us to participate and I think set us up for a movement into the Accelerating Opportunity Initiative that Kansas is a participant in, as well as Illinois and a number of other states. And in this, we're actually working to do team teaching, as Blake mentioned, integrated instruction, basically. It's instruction that does a lot of those things that bridge programs do, but I think it's at the credit level. So in other words, students are actually CTE students in these programs. They're adult ed students, but they're also CTE students, and they're getting credit towards a credential. They, at the end of the program, they have to have met a certain level of credential, and it's putting them on a career pathway. And then recently, we have joined with the Center for Law and Social Policy to participate in the Alliance for Quality Career Pathways. One of the big challenges around adult career pathways is defining exactly what it is. And I think there are many different ideas about what it is out there. And so one of the great things about participation in this initiative, which includes 10 other states, is that we're working to develop a common definition for adult career pathways, and that includes common metrics. It's defining what it is and then figuring out how to measure it. Those are really two big challenges, certainly. In each of these initiatives, career and technical education's role cannot be de-emphasized. I mean, certainly in bridge programs, bridges are the perfect place to start for adult education and career and technical education partnerships. Through Accelerating Opportunity, I mean, ultimately, we have built it in Illinois as a joint initiative. It's not an adult ed initiative. It's not just focused on adults. It is ultimately an adult and a CTE initiative. And then through the Alliance, we're, again, working to build some commonality around what adult career pathways means. Critical part, a critical component to moving forward. So career technical education, certainly in Illinois, has been an integral part of all these initiatives. And there are, several other initiatives that we're working on as well that put CTE as a major part of what's happening. There are certainly challenges to doing this, but there are also good tools and good methods to making it happen. One of the new buzzwords out there in the last couple of years has been the idea of braided funding. And it's not a new idea, but certainly it is being very much highlighted in this time of limited resources. And that's definitely something that we've had to learn how to do in Illinois. We have learned how to braid our funding and go, hat in hand to others asking for funds and figuring out how to put all these different components together.
And the importance of partnerships, I'm sure, really plays into that, as Blake was mentioning earlier.
Absolutely, which is right in line with the 10 elements of the program of study framework. Partnerships in this economic climate are even more critical than ever because resources are limited and we have to figure out how to braid our funding in order to make it work. And then one thing we did a couple of years ago in career and technical education was put together a tool that actually laid out our expectations for a program of study at the evidence level. So folks would really have a practical sense of what exactly does it mean to have a program of study. We crosswalk those to the 10 elements, we crosswalk those to our design elements, but ultimately those sorts of tools can also inform the adult career pathway world. And I think that there are some emerging and more are needed. Recently, and then I'll stop there, but because I think I'm going over here. But recently, we also kicked off an initiative in Illinois where we are doing transition academies, which is a partnership between adult education and career technical education again to bring faculty members from both of these environments and as well as administrators together to figure out how to partner, to figure out how you braid funding, what is career technical education, can these two work together, the importance of adult students in the pipeline of education. So ultimately, career technical education and adult education have worked very well together, I think very, very much in line with the framework components. I think that though we have gone our own way and we haven't been able to do it legislatively, we've made a lot of progress in Illinois.
Great. Great, and it's wonderful to hear the examples from both of your states to contrast and then compare the similar components, but how they're playing out slightly differently in each state.